If you've lived in Northern Virginia or you are considering purchasing here, you're gonna see that we have a lot of homes that are old. I'm talking all the way back into the 1800s. Those are the historic homes. But a lot of the homes that people are looking at are built in the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, the 20s, turn of the century homes. And you're gonna wanna be aware of what type of issues to be looking for when you purchase one of those homes. You want to stay to the end because I have a story to tell you about one of the homes that we purchased. You will be surprised to know what was behind those walls. Hey, it's Tim here. If you love our channel, you love this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe. We want to make sure you are hearing about what's going on in the real estate market around Northern Virginia, from trends to the market analysis to what's going on in your community. So thanks for subscribing. So one of the first things that you can be looking at when you are touring a house here in Northern Virginia that's got some age on it is just trying to see, is the house level? You can find that out by just walking the floors and feeling if there's any kind of unevenness anywhere. That's not saying there's a huge structural problem. It just means that it's probably settled in certain places. One of the things that I like to look at is just the frame of the doors and just see if the door jambs are slightly off or there's actually a huge shift. And when you close the door, you can see if there's a gap or if it closes at all. Those are just signs of settlement. And if you are very concerned, have a home inspector take a look at it. And if they think that you might want to get a structural engineer, you can take a look at that as well and get someone out to get their eyes and their professional thoughts. But I would say majority of the homes we see around here have just settled. Look, even new construction homes, when we're doing these new construction walkthroughs, the general contractor is going to tell you there's like this 10 or 11 month go back through the house. Why? Houses breathe, they settle, they're starting to see some seams that have cracks, and that's all fairly normal. Houses expand and contract. Isn't an alarm that there could be a major structural issue, but you probably should get it checked if a third-party inspector tells you so. Let's just say if you could take a bowling ball and just gently nudge it and it can roll from one side of a room to the other, that might be a little bit of an issue. The second thing to think about when you buy these older homes are the windows. Windows are not cheap, and there are also wonderful architectural designs. Based on the time period of the home that you're purchasing, that can change how you're going to potentially replace them or repair them. A lot of contractors that are specializing in mid-century or maybe these classic colonials at turn of the century, they may recommend that you keep the window. Why? Because that type of wood, that type of style may be more aesthetically pleasing and also hold better resale value. The third item that I'm taking a look at when I go see these homes are the electrical panels. Look, there are some electrical panels that are really, they just gotta go. Zinsco, Federal Pacific, Stab Lock. I know an inspector will recommend that you just get that replaced. They're faulty, they're unstable, and you don't need that when you have 150, 200 amps coming into that house. You want that electrical panel to work and work well. So my recommendation is if you see a panel that is older and needs to be replaced, I would consider that a part of your budget purchasing that home. If you already own that house, go ahead and get some estimates. It's going to be a great thing to fix, just not for you only, but also for when you resell. When they see that a panel's been updated, you're doing it to code, you're doing it with permits, are going to help the consumer, the purchaser of your home, feel confident that there is not going to be any issue with a panel. Let's talk about the basements. Now, I was touring a house with a client. He said, Tim, I would love to have a house that has an unfinished basement. And I asked why, and he said walls of the home would show what's going on outside. Is there water coming in? Is there staining in the concrete floor? Is the efflorescence showing through in the cinder block? These were all giving you signs of maybe a little bit of water seepage. Sometimes it can be fixed easy with this gutter system, but other times it might not. It may be a sign of a bigger issue going on in that basement. Now, if you have a property that is finished and you have all the drywall up and it looks beautiful, inspectors have a way to look at that. One of the ways to look at it is just a moisture reader. They can just see if there's any kind of elevated moisture readings in the corners. They can also do thermal imaging, see if it's cooler in some places and warmer in others. And all these can help us get an understanding of what's going on behind the drywall. And that's important to do. I'd say it's important to do even if you are a homeowner and just checking your house out every few years. The fifth thing is trees. Now, I've talked about this before. Trees are huge around here. We've got big guys. Sometimes they're 2 times taller than the house. So I want you to be aware of the cost of taking care of trees. I had the arborist come out, take a look at all of our trees, and he says, all your trees look healthy, but I think you need to thin out the silver maple in the front. And I said, thin out, it's so beautiful. You want to thin this out, Tim, because if the storms come through, air can get through the branches and doesn't cause too much weight pushing against the tree, and the tree ends up on top of our house. Most sewer lines around Northern Virginia are either cast iron, if they're older, or Orangeburg. These are things you want to be aware of. Obviously the newer build, 80s and up to present day, those can be PVC pipe. But you want to know what type of sewer line you have because they have a lifespan. Orangeburg's like 25 to 50 years at the max. Cast iron can be 50 to 100 years. All of these different type of material can cause different type of issues as they age. Cast iron can rust. Orangeburg, the way they built that was they weren't going to last that long. The roots are going to get in there, it's going to soften up. So why is the age of these sewer lines so important to know? Well, when I drive some of these older neighborhoods that are built in the 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s, and you see the front lawn all completely dug up, and you see the contractors out there placing a new line, it's because it was built with Orangeburg cast iron and it needs to be replaced. You can look on the Fairfax County permits, probably Loudoun County, Prince William County too. Just look to see, was there a permit pulled to replace a sewer line? Hopefully the seller, if they've done it, that was something they would share that with you when you're getting ready to purchase. Sewer lines are important to know about when you're purchasing a home in Northern Virginia. So one of the homes that we've purchased here in Northern Virginia was older. Everything was original. We had a dishwasher that probably had 120 decibels. It worked great, but it was loud. It was a Maytag. Love Maytags, but it had to go. When we decided to do a renovation, we did a renovation first of our secondary bathroom. And contractor came in, opened the walls, gutted everything, and he said, Tim, there's not any insulation here. Okay, we'll put the insulation. Great. Fixed it. That's easy. And then we went over and we decided to do the kitchen the next year. So the kitchen's a little bit bigger project. Contractor calls me and goes, Tim, remember I talked to you about that bathroom last year? I said, yes. He goes, you have zero insulation behind the walls over here in the kitchen. I couldn't believe it. No insulation. This house, it's not that old, but it didn't have insulation. So we put insulation in. But I want you to be aware that some of these older homes could potentially have zero or low amount of insulation. When you get ready to do a project, that might be something to consider. And that was just another line item that we weren't expecting. But fortunately, insulation wasn't too costly, but you may not know about that until you do the renovation. Just be aware of the certain things that may be a condition of an older home. Until next time.